Hey Colin, buddy, it's been a while. I haven't actually been listening to very many podcasts, including yours, but I got around to listening and then you figured I'd give a little bit of feedback. Honestly, I really like the changes you've made, just in the general format. You're letting people speak for themselves, but you're also giving them some guidance along the way. You're reducing the amount of blank white space on the page, and that can be dangerous, but I think you've done it very well. It's very pleasing on the ear. The bed music you've used at the end of your episode is quite striking, actually. Simplistic, but also very helpful to demarcate the end and the sort of the wind down, if you will. I did want to admit to one thing. I am the one that snuck the magic mushrooms into Jason Connerly's pizza. I take no responsibility for his actions afterwards, and I do not apologize.
Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spikepit. I doubt if it's news to anybody who listens to this podcast that the Melodorous Miasma Meltdown, the Triple M podcast, is back. And opening the show was in fact the man behind that very podcast, Mr. Timothy Drennan. And when he calls into your show with such praise, that means it's time to take another listen to your episode. In fact, I decided I'd pull it down, re-edit it, and get rid of the music. Let that be a lesson to Spikepit. And this episode is all about learning stuff. It's feedback from callers, some new voices, some old. And now we hear from a buddy of mine. She's been away from the mic for far too long, but old Spikepit has stayed in touch, and I'm honoured to welcome her back onto the show with some call-ins.
Never be afraid to change things up. Change them up. If it doesn't work, change them up again. Why? You're going to be pushing up daisies soon enough. We all are. So just taking that change and doing that change. And you and I talk off this anyway, and I know that you've made some excellent changes, and it's just so wonderful. So yeah, that's it. I don't know why I went back to podcast. I went back to December 12th. I don't know. I was feeling like Christmas, so I just went back. All right, that's enough for me. Whisk out.
And thanks for the enthusiastic encouragement, which is so on brand for the Happy Whisk. And we will be hearing more from her a little bit later on in this episode. Now, for a new caller.
Hey Colin, it's James from the Subclass Act podcast. I just watched your most recent episode on YouTube about what is the OSR. I really enjoyed that. I think it's been confusing because it's become such an umbrella term. Even though I play a lot of 5th edition and newer games as well, I discovered the OSR personally through Swords and Wizardry, BFRPG, Castles and Crusades, similar games. And I think it starts out with the retro clones, but at this point it's absorbed so much of the indie scene that you have things like the New School NSR, which would be like Into the Odd, Electric Bastion Land, even small things like Tunnel Goons. I think it's really, that's what the term has come to mean for a lot of people. It's just an indie aesthetic. In video games, the equivalent would be you have AAA versus the indie titles, and you had people debating and arguing about that for a long time. Like, oh, is this really indie? Is it triple I or whatever? I think people are always going to argue about stuff like that. But anyways, I enjoyed the podcast. Thanks so much, Colin.
Well, if you're listening, James, I'm glad you enjoyed my YouTube video talking about what is the OSR, the sort of state of the situation now that it's 2021. I don't imagine I really threw a lot of light on things there. I really just wanted to express the fact that I find I do still, for some strange reason, find the subject pretty fascinating. And I think there's a few things going on, but that's something I want to pick up again in a future YouTube video. So I hope you and the people that have been supporting me on YouTube will carry on watching the content. I'm going to try for a weekly release, probably aiming at a Monday release. I've got one scheduled for Monday coming, and still got a few more irons in the fire. I enjoy the video medium, it seems. I always quite liked editing. I'm kind of slow, But being a visual person, I like some of the stuff you can do with it. It's all a little bit of a fun experiment, and if people are entertained, so much the better. Talking of entertainment, check out James's podcast, Subclass Act. I am a subscriber. I've favorited it and will be catching up on his back episodes.
What up, Colin? It's Arlen. I wanted to say, first off, thanks for the shout out in episode 358, and thanks for agreeing to play Beowulf this morning. That was a lot of fun to make a character and hang out and all that sort of stuff. It was really good to catch up with you, man. And I'm really excited for next weekend. Hopefully we can play the adventure and get you some actual Beowulf gaming in. I think that'd be fun. As far as YouTube goes, I totally agree with you. I think that natural discovery on YouTube is just so much better than it is on Anchor. For perspective, my Anchor podcast has something like almost 4,000 total listens, which I know is pretty small compared to some of the guys that are doing this stuff on Anchor. But by comparison, my YouTube channel got somewhere on the order of 800 views in the last 28 days. So even my relatively small YouTube channel, I only have 97 subscribers right now, is getting a whole lot more people watching and all of that sort of stuff, people engaging with my content essentially, than my Anchor podcast, despite having done the Anchor podcast for quite a bit longer and promoting it more heavily, I think, than I do the YouTube channel. I don't post the YouTube stuff on Discord very often. But anyway, yes, so definitely I think if you want to grow your brand, for lack of a better term, if you want to attract new people to your community, YouTube is a great way to do that. And I totally agree about the overviews. That's kind of why I do overviews the way I do nowadays, is I want to show off the art, show off the layout, all of that sort of stuff, and kind of talk about what's in the book. So it works for me to just have the PDF and be recording my screen and flipping through it. And that way I can comment on the art, comment on the layout, show people kind of what they're definitely getting, and then also comment on kind of what I think about the product and all of that sort of stuff, which I think hopefully the sort of idea is that the similar to the way that the product itself works, the art and the visuals draw people in, and then they stay for the commentary and the explanation of why you would play this game. All right, see you later, man, and we'll play Beowulf again.
So that was Arlen Walker of Live from Pelham's Wasteland, and we had a great time, as he said, getting together and rolling up a character for the 5e D&D type spin-off, the Beowulf Age of Heroes. I think I've mentioned on the podcast that I'm really excited about playing this game. It's got some really good ideas, and myself and Arlen recorded a crosscast kind of thing. He's put out his episode. I'm also going to put out an edited version of that, and I'll be putting that up on Spikepit YouTube. The other thing I've been busy with is archiving some of my old episodes and re-editing them to make the listening experience hopefully a little bit easier, tie together some of the episodes so that people can kind of hear all about one topic in one episode. Obviously with regular kind of call-ins and the to-in and fro-in, things can become pretty disjointed in the back catalogue. I had some downtime. I don't know how much more of this I'm going to be able to do in the near future, but it's just one of them projects that I want to keep ticking along in the background. And with the backing of the pit crew, their kind of interest in the project is spurring me on. And then every now and then you get a call in like the next one where somebody's actually picked up on one of the retread remixes. In this case, it's a Menion from Confessions of a Wee Timorous Bushi.
Hey Spikepit, this is Menion, also known as Rob, walking to work. It occurs to me that probably the greatest river adventure ever written, I don't know all the adventures ever written, but a very good one, a famous one, is Death on the Reich for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Check it out, it's a good one. What else? Well, wasn't there a movie called The African Queen about a boat, a steamboat that travelled the rivers in Africa? I can't remember who was in it. An old black and white movie. I'll double check this and get back to you. But I'm sure there's a lot of other movies and adventures out there that haven't come up at this point. Anyway, cheers now. Bye bye.
Thanks for your call then, Rob. Haven't heard from you in a little while, but I know you had a game with my brother recently of his new system. I hope you enjoyed it. And talking to my brother, he has actually got all that old Warhammer stuff. He picked up a humble bundle or something like that. So perhaps if I talk to him nicely and put in a request, and if I ask nicely, perhaps he could run us through that old Warhammer adventure at some point, either using the new Warhammer rules or using a different system. But I do hear that it is really well regarded. As for the films, yeah, I am really bad on film titles and film knowledge, but I do enjoy taking inspiration for games from films. Excellent source of, I don't know, just inspiration all round really, particularly with my Jungles of Chult game. Just watching documentaries and kind of getting familiar with the atmosphere of the jungle has really helped me in my descriptions that I make to the players. And now to close out the show with a treat, two very special ladies. We heard from Ivy, the Happy Whisk, earlier, and the last caller I'm going to leave as a surprise. You're going to have to hang on to find out who it is, but I'm glad to have her back on the air, even if she is schooling me again. Maybe I'll have more to say at the end.
The thing that I have a hard time wrapping my head around is not trusting the GM. The same for me. If I don't trust the person I'm gaming with or in a writing group with, for my case, then I'm out. I mean, there has to be a level of trust. Otherwise, why keep going back?
I totally agree, Ivy. I can't wrap my head around it either, but I shouldn't interrupt.
As for Affinity products, I have designer and photo, and last year we got publisher. The photo one, I love it, and the designer one, I love it. I use them all the time and no monthly fee. Publisher, I'm learning. We got a book on publisher. There's also a bunch of videos out there too. If you want, contact Tim or just put them in the search. But there's some pretty darn good videos on Affinity products. Excellent price. Good luck with that, Colin. So much fun.
And I'm just going to second what Ivy's saying about Affinity. I really enjoy using it. To me, they seem good value. They're super powerful. But admittedly, you've got to put the time in to learn how to use them. If you just want a quick, simple solution, I don't think they're really for you. But you can do some stuff pretty simply. If you've got any aspirations to do some really kind of good professional work, I reckon if you got all three of those, you'd be laughing. I use them all the time. Like anything else, the more you use them, the more familiar and quicker you get.
Hey Spikepit, it's Jules from NZ. As one of your very few female listeners, I feel like I should definitely call in after hearing your last few episodes. I just wanted to clarify that it's not always about you naming the campaign. It's about the group owning the game. And in my case, the group owning the game was about them naming themselves. They named themselves the Polly's Angels because Polly was a character who died really early on, and they decided that they were avenging angels on behalf of the character who died. The Polly's Angels became a very vengeful force who are now running the campaign. And I think that's really powerful and amazing that they owned the game that they were playing in. And I definitely don't want to take away from that. So just a small clarification. Also, I'm really drunk and I don't know if I'm going to remember I sent this or that I listened to your episode. But I love you. Bye, Spikepit.
Back when 5e D&D came out with its starter box, we launched into a campaign, The Lost Mines of Phandelver. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and the group we put together called themselves the Company of the Sleeping Giant. The Sleeping Giant being one of the places in the kind of the home base village of Phandalin. Players got super attached and, like Jules was saying, really took ownership of the campaign. They became kind of like proper heroes in the area, getting involved with local politics and looking after the people and going on missions to do good, and I do believe they took quite a bit of pride in being the Company of the Sleeping Giant. So totally agree with you, Jules. I am a firm believer in letting the players take as much control as they want to take, really, because it's their way of getting invested and having fun. And that's what I like to see round our table. And that, as they say, is a wrap. Thanks to everybody who called in, making this Into the Pit episode possible. Massive thanks to the Pit crew, my patrons over on Spikepit Patreon. And last but not least, a big thanks goes out to you, the listener, for taking a bit of time out of your day to listen to old Spikepit. Take care, and I'll catch you later.